Why you wouldn't survive the apocalypse depicted in 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later, which released in 2002, is likely to be my favourite zombie film, through its gritty and raw cinematography compounded with droves of rage-filled infected, who stop at nothing to ensure you join their club of rage, and with it all being set in England, it really does make some unique scenes. However, the apocalypse is depicted as an outcome you can only pray doesn't happen, and here's why. Biology. First, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with, and in 28 Days Later, the infected are beholden to a mutated Ebola strain mixed with rage inhibitors, with the Ebola being the catalyst to these rageful symptoms, and an infection of this kind keeps the host alive, meaning that the infected will maintain much of their motor dexterity, with this only being aggravated by the continual release of adrenaline which the virus induces, which leads to the infected being able to run for longer and faster than someone who isn't infected, and this enhanced speed is also coupled with increased reflexes to auditory and visual stimuli, which only makes the infected harder to avoid. However, with these advantages, there are disadvantages to their biology, with their main drawback being that they still require sustenance, and with the infected not actively seeking out food or water, it gives them a definitive expiry date, with this time varying due to multiple different factors, including climate, weight and size of the infected, and what they'd consumed prior to infection. And another drawback, while advantage for survivors, is that blows to the body are also effective in dealing with the infected, meaning that aiming for the head isn't necessarily something you need to be worried about. Transmission. Now, thankfully the virus isn't airborne, however the virus is transmissible through virtually all bodily fluid to the infected, and due to the sheer volume of the virus in the body, the smallest drop of blood in the eye or mouth is enough to turn you in seconds, and with the infected constantly hemorrhaging and throwing up blood, it makes it increasingly difficult to avoid infection via this route. And in the event you're caught off guard without protective gear, the odds lie heavily out of your favour in terms of leaving that combat encounter without picking up the infection, and due to this ease of transmission, it makes it almost impossible to survive in an urban environment, as this, coupled with their increased speed and awareness, makes for a deadly combination in terms of attracting groups of infected. Incubation. Now, possibly the most terrifying thing about the virus is just how quick it can get a hold over its host, as when Frank was infected in the film, it took a little over a minute for him to turn, and that was just from one drop of blood, with this implying that more severe injuries inflicted by the infected can shorten that time to mere seconds, and in a crowded environment the virus can rapidly infect and turn hundreds of victims in mere minutes, with this only adding to the risks of being in an urban environment at the time of the outbreak, and the short incubation period also means that you'd have to be prepared to immediately eliminate a member of your group with no hesitation. In the event that they become infected, you'd only have a short amount of time to make that decision. And all of this, compounded in an apocalyptic setting where resources are scarce, makes it almost impossible to survive such an ordeal, with the odds of survival mainly depending on your geographical location, with survival of this apocalypse, especially in the UK, being dependent on how long you can hide for. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever, and BanMan out.